At number 5, we have Russia-Ukraine conflict. Has the annexation of Crimea in 2014 ignited a never-ending fire between Russia and Ukraine? This question has been at the forefront of international relations since that fateful year, when the geopolitical landscape in Eastern Europe dramatically shifted. The Russia-Ukraine conflict, a complicated and ongoing tussle, escalated dramatically when Russia, in an unexpected move, annexed Crimea, a region that was previously under Ukraine's jurisdiction. This audacious move by Russia sent shockwaves around the world, marking a significant shift in the post-Cold War international order. But what set the stage for this conflict? And why has it continued without resolution for so long? To understand this, we need to delve into the heart of the matter: territorial disputes, military clashes, and accusations of political interference. Territorial disputes have been a significant bone of contention between Russia and Ukraine, especially concerning the status of Crimea and eastern Ukraine. Russia's annexation of Crimea was viewed internationally as a blatant disregard for Ukraine's sovereignty, leading to widespread condemnation. The conflict is not limited to territorial disputes alone. There have been numerous military clashes, with both nations accusing each other of aggression. These clashes have resulted in a tragic loss of life and heightened tensions between the two nations. Moreover, accusations of Russian interference in Ukrainian politics have further complicated the situation. Ukraine accuses Russia of orchestrating political instability within its borders, a claim Russia vehemently denies. All these factors combined paint a complex picture of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. It's a tangled web of power struggles and territorial ambitions, underscored by deep-seated historical and political differences. As we delve deeper into this conflict in our subsequent discussions, it becomes increasingly clear that the struggle for power and territorial control remains a significant contributing factor to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. It's a persisting flame ignited by the annexation of Crimea, one that continues to burn, shaping the geopolitical landscape of Eastern Europe. And as we continue to observe, the struggle for power and territorial control remains a significant contributing factor to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. At number 4, we have China-Taiwan conflict. Is Taiwan a separate entity or a part of China? This question has led to a complex and contentious relationship. At the heart of this dispute is China's claim over Taiwan as its territory, despite Taiwan's de facto status as a separate entity with its own government. This claim dates back to the end of the Chinese Civil War in 1949, when the defeated nationalists retreated to Taiwan, setting up their own government, while the victorious communists declared the People's Republic of China on the mainland. Fast forward to today, and the question of Taiwan's status remains a deeply divisive issue, not just between China and Taiwan, but also for the international community. On one side, China asserts its One China principle, which states that there is only one China that includes Taiwan, and it is the People's Republic of China that is the only legitimate representative of China in the international community. On the other side, Taiwan, formerly known as the Republic of China, operates as an independent political entity with its own constitution, military, and democratically elected government. It has its own vibrant economy, and its citizens enjoy freedoms and rights that are notably absent on the mainland. This tug-of-war has resulted in a complex web of diplomatic tensions and occasional military posturing. China frequently flexes its military muscle, conducting drills near Taiwan and even crossing the median line of the Taiwan Strait, a tacit boundary between the two sides. These actions are seen as attempts to intimidate Taiwan and assert China's sovereignty claims. Yet Taiwan remains resilient, continuing to seek international recognition and support. Despite facing diplomatic isolation due to China's influence, Taiwan strives to maintain its de facto independence and democratic way of life. This intricate dance is not just about sovereignty or territory, it's about identity, democracy versus authoritarianism, and the future direction of the region. As the world watches, the stakes continue to rise and the potential for conflict lingers. The China-Taiwan relations continue to be a balancing act, teetering on the edge of diplomatic and military tension. At number 3, we have Israel-Palestine conflict. Land borders and statehood, could these be the fuse igniting decades of conflict between Israel and Palestine? Picture this: two peoples, both with deep historical roots in the same land, both with narratives of struggle, survival, and a yearning for statehood. This is the heart of the Israel-Palestine conflict, a dispute that has spanned several decades with no end seemingly in sight. At the core of the conflict are issues deeply ingrained in the fabric of both societies. The city of Jerusalem, revered by many as the birthplace of their faith, is one such issue. Both Israel and Palestine claim this city as their capital. For Israel, it's a symbol of their ancient heritage and national identity. For Palestinians, East Jerusalem, occupied by Israel since the Six-Day War in 1967, represents the seat of their future state. Then there's the issue of Israeli settlements in the West Bank. Since the late 1960s, Israel has been establishing settlements in these territories which are considered illegal under international law. These settlements, home to over 500,000 Israelis, are seen by many Palestinians as a blatant disregard for their rights and a major hindrance to peace. On the other hand, Israel argues that these settlements are necessary for their security and are part of their historical and biblical connection to the land. Lastly, we have the quest for Palestinian statehood. Palestinians seek to establish an independent state in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem and the Gaza Strip. However, disagreements over boundaries, security arrangements, and the status of Palestinian refugees have made this a complex and challenging endeavor. The conflict is not just about land and borders, but also about recognition, security, and justice. It's about the right to self-determination and the right to live in peace and dignity. It's about two peoples, both with legitimate aspirations and grievances, trying to reconcile their past with their future. Despite numerous attempts at peace negotiations, the conflict remains unresolved. Outbreaks of violence are frequent, fueled by frustration, desperation, and a sense of injustice. Diplomatic disputes continue, with both sides accusing each other of intransigence and bad faith. Yet amidst the despair, there are glimmers of hope. Stories of Israelis and Palestinians working together, building bridges of understanding and advocating for peace. These stories remind us that beneath the politics and the rhetoric, there are real people with real lives who just want to live in peace. The Israel-Palestine conflict, a decades-long dispute, remains unresolved, often leading to outbreaks of violence and a continuous cycle of diplomatic disputes. At number 2, we have India-Pakistan disputes. What happens when a beautiful region becomes a bone of contention between two nations? This is the question we grapple with when looking at the complex and historic disputes between India and Pakistan. The seeds of this conflict were sown during the partition of British India in 1947, when two new countries, India and Pakistan, were birthed from the same womb. The volatile birth left a lasting legacy of tension and conflict over a picturesque region known as Kashmir. Kashmir, a region of astounding beauty, has been the contentious flashpoint between these two nations. Both India and Pakistan lay claim to it, each seeing it as an integral part of their national identity. This dispute has led to not one, not two, but 3 wars between the two nations in 1947, 1965, and 1971. Even today, the specter of war looms large over the region, with skirmishes and cross-border firing episodes being all too common. But the conflict is not just territorial, it's also ideological. The two nations, born out of a religious divide, have different views on governance, society, and even the very nature of nationalism. These ideological differences further fuel the dispute, making it even harder to find common ground. And then there's the issue of cross-border terrorism. India accuses Pakistan of harboring and sponsoring militant groups that carry out terrorist attacks on Indian soil, a claim that Pakistan vehemently denies. This issue further strains the already tense relations, making peaceful dialogue a challenging task. The international community has been watching this dispute closely, understanding its potential to destabilize the region and beyond. Various peace initiatives have been attempted, including the Simla Agreement of 1972 and the Lahore Declaration of 1999. But these have provided only temporary respite, with the underlying issues remaining unresolved. The impact of the India-Pakistan dispute goes beyond the two nations. It affects the entire South Asian region and has implications for global peace and security. The dispute has strained relations within the South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, hampering regional integration and development. It's a dispute that, if left unresolved, could have far-reaching consequences. The The India-Pakistan dispute is a complex web of territorial claims, ideological differences, and cross-border terrorism. It's a dispute that has its roots in the partition of a subcontinent and has grown into a persistent thorn in the side of regional peace and stability. The India-Pakistan dispute, rooted in history and inflamed by territorial and ideological differences, remains a significant concern for regional peace and stability. It's a dispute that demands our attention, our understanding, and our concerted efforts towards peace. At number 1, we have North Korea nuclear program. When does a nation's pursuit of self-defense tip over into a threat to international peace and stability? This question is at the heart of the controversy surrounding North Korea's nuclear program. A small, isolated nation, North Korea has been pursuing nuclear capabilities and long-range missile technology with relentless determination. North Korea's nuclear journey has been marked by a series of tests and provocations, each one more alarming than the last. It has defied numerous international regulations, sparking controversy and raising serious concerns about regional stability. This defiance has been met with a flurry of sanctions from the international community in a bid to curb North Korea's nuclear ambitions. However, the North Korean regime has shown a remarkable resilience, continuing its nuclear program despite the crippling economic and political costs. Its pursuit of nuclear weapons has been driven by a conviction that nuclear capabilities are a key to its survival, a deterrent against any potential aggressors. The United States, South Korea, and Japan have been at the forefront of efforts to halt North Korea's nuclear progress. Their approach has oscillated between diplomatic negotiations and threats of military action, neither of which has yielded definitive results. These efforts have not only failed to halt North Korea's nuclear progress, but have also led to periods of heightened diplomatic tension. This is a complex issue, one that is deeply rooted in the history of the Korean Peninsula and the dynamics of international power politics. It's not just about nuclear weapons, but about sovereignty, survival, and the balance of power in a volatile region. It's a chess game of high stakes, with each move potentially triggering a chain reaction with far-reaching consequences. As North Korea continues to advance its nuclear program, the international community stands on the precipice of a major geopolitical shift. The stakes are high, and the path forward is fraught with uncertainty. Will diplomacy and negotiations prevail? Or will the world witness a new nuclear power emerge in the heart of Asia? Only time will tell. Conflicts may arise from a myriad of issues: territorial disputes, ideological differences, or power struggles. The 5 controversies we've explored today: the Russia-Ukraine conflict, China-Taiwan relations, the Israel-Palestine conflict, India-Pakistan disputes, and North Korea's nuclear program, all offer unique insights into the complexities of international relations. The ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, which escalated dramatically in 2014 with Russia's annexation of Crimea, remains a hotbed of tension. Territorial disputes, military clashes, and accusations of political interference continue to fuel this controversy, making it a significant focus in the geopolitical landscape. Across the sea, the tenuous relationship between China and Taiwan is another critical issue. China considers Taiwan part of its territory, yet Taiwan operates as an independent entity with its own government. These differing perspectives have led to persistent diplomatic tensions and intermittent military posturing. The decades-long conflict between Israel and Palestine over land, borders, and statehood persists. Unresolved issues such as control over Jerusalem, Israeli settlements in the West Bank, and Palestinian statehood continue to spark outbreaks of violence and diplomatic disputes. Meanwhile, the dispute between India and Pakistan, primarily over the contested region of Kashmir, adds another layer of complexity. This long-standing conflict, marked by several wars, cross-border terrorism, territorial claims, and ideological differences, remains a significant source of tension between the two nations. Lastly, we turn our attention to North Korea's nuclear program. The country's development of nuclear weapons and long-range missile capabilities has not only sparked international controversy, but also raised concerns about regional stability. The international community's efforts to curb North Korea's nuclear ambitions have led to diplomatic tensions, particularly with the United States, South Korea, and Japan. These conflicts, as varied as they are, share a common thread: their ongoing nature and the significant implications they hold for international relations. Each controversy has the potential to reshape alliances, influence global policies, and impact the lives of millions of people. The path to resolution for these conflicts is undoubtedly complex. It requires diplomatic finesse, mutual respect, and a willingness to engage in difficult conversations. It demands a delicate balance of asserting national interest while respecting international norms and the rights of others. As we navigate the complexities of these international conflicts, it's clear that the path to resolution is often as complex as the issues themselves. Yet understanding these controversies, their origins and their implications is the first step towards fostering dialogue, promoting peace, and shaping a more stable global landscape.